You are listening to Mark Lack, and this is Retail 101 Online. And welcome, Retail 101ers, to episode number 7, hosted by Mark Lack from Retail 101 Online. For our amazing regulars, a huge thank you for continuing to tune in. Your unwavering support keeps us revved up and ready to dive headfirst into the chaotic world of retail. If you're itching to hear more tales from the retail trenches, straight from the mouths of real-life retail warriors, then prepare to subscribe to the soon-to-be-launched Retail Voices series. These will be discussions with real people, talking about their role in retail, how they got to where they are, and where they want to get to. Don't forget to subscribe here too and ring that bell so that you get notifications as to when the next episode releases. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the employees, part 2, tools, tactics and teamwork. As I suggested in the first episode, the subject matter for employees is just huge. So, like the assortment building topic, I have broken this theme down into 2 episodes. The aim, as ever, is to distill each episode into 3 simple components. With employees, the first episode was, firstly, about people and development, looking at why we must do this and who is responsible. That's all of us, just to remind you. Secondly, it was about managing the individual. We looked at the levels of motivation, we then moved on to competence, and then dived deep into the 4 temperaments. If you remember, these were fire, air, earth, and water. Or, if it's easier to remember, the 4 animal types of lions, otters, beavers, and golden retrievers. We then also studied the 4 personality types of direct, animated, steady, and organised. These were based around the 4 box quadrants of extroverted, introverted, people orientation, and task orientation. And thirdly, we looked at how to manage the team. Here, we heard a great definition of what a team actually is. We also saw what the 5 dysfunctions of a team look like: absence of trust, fear of conflict, a lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and inattention to results. After that, we also learnt that team members have work preferences. So, we used the Belbin model to explain what the 4 main work preferences were. That's leading, doing, thinking, and socialising, and then the 9 corresponding roles of the coordinator, shaper, implementer, completer, plant, monitor, specialist, resourcer, and team worker. If you remember, these also fitted neatly into the 3 different orientations of people, task, or thought. After all of that, this will then have allowed you to create a multi-dimensional view of your people. So, there was only one more thing to do, and that was to create the team sociogram. Well, that was a lot in the first episode, so what's coming up next? In this second episode, we will look at, firstly, management styles, where we will dive into the 3 areas of directing, discussing, and delegating. Secondly, we will also give you some day-to-day tools that you can use with your own teams. And thirdly, the leader's role in managing their employees. As a sidebar here, do you know what the employees' 3 main wants are from the organisation that employs them? I know, money is usually the first one, but let's take money out of it for now, as I don't have any money to give you. However, I can give you these 3 non-monetary things that they do want that you can give them starting from today. Employees want to feel valued and appreciated for their contributions. Regular acknowledgement of their efforts and achievements boosts morale and motivation. Employees seek opportunities to learn, grow, and advance in their careers. Access to training programs, mentorship, and clear career paths are essential for their professional development. Most employees want their work to have meaning and to contribute to something larger than themselves. Aligning individual roles with the organization's missions and values helps employees find purpose in their work, increasing engagement and satisfaction. So, without any further delay, let's get into the main theme for this episode, which is the Employees Part 2 and continuing YPAYS. YPAYS. Your people are your success. So, management style is what we are going to talk about now. There are many different management styles that people use. Some managers tend to stick to one management style for everyone throughout their whole career. What I have learned from my years of experience is that managers must adapt their style to the audience they are managing. Having worked in 20 different countries, it's not just about culture either, although you do have to learn how to adapt. If we were in a training session right now, I would be handing out the questionnaire for you to fill in that ends up best describing your preferred management style. But we are not, so we just have to jump into each style and then you can work out where your preference is. Be aware though, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach. The best managers, leaders, are the ones that use the different management styles mentioned here to their advantage as and when required. Remember, management style is not about your style. It's actually about the preferred style of each individual employee. When I have been in the different business cycles of stars, my own management style has changed. In a startup or turnaround situation, I have used a much more direct approach, and in a success-sustaining situation, it has been less about direct and more about discussing and delegation. However, it has always been about the individual or team that is in front of me awaiting my instructions before they are set off running. The three main styles are directing, discussing, and delegating. Imagine if we put these on a chart with directing on the left, discussing in the middle, and then delegating on the right. And then we overlaid this with two sliding scales. The participation of the manager on the left would be at the highest with regards to decision making, and the participation of employees on the right would be at the lowest. This is the directing stance, whereas the opposite is true for the other way round. To the right, where delegating is, the scale for employee participation would be at its highest with regards to decision making, and the managers on the left at the lowest. See how I'm always trying to make it as simple as possible for everyone? Well, each of your employees has a preferred management style to use with them. We will look at each one now and the attributes supporting them. Firstly, directing. The approach here will be to tell people what to do, how to do it, and when to have it completed by. As a manager, you would also assign the roles and responsibilities, set the standards, and define the expectations. The communication method would be the manager speaking and the employees listen and then act. Managers would be expected to provide detailed instructions so that the employees know exactly what to do. Goal setting is also all the manager's decision. They would be very specific and time-bound, also set by the manager. From a decision-making perspective, the manager would make most, if not all, of the decisions, with very little room for straying outside of some very narrow boundaries. Performance would be managed by the manager, establishing very specific control points. This style of management is generally appropriate when the employees have limited experience or lack the skills needed to complete the assignment. It would also be appropriate when structure, actions, steps, and controls are necessary to complete a particular task. This style can be efficient in situations requiring quick decision-making or when there is a need for strong direction, but it may lead to decreased employee morale and innovation if employees feel disempowered or undervalued. Secondly, discussing. The approach here would be to take some time to discuss the business issues. A manager here is performing the role of a facilitator more than anything else. Communication would absolutely be two-way, as it would also be about garnishing ideas from the team and then choosing the best way forward. From a goal-setting perspective, the goals are established after adequate discussion, although the manager would still have the final say. Decision-making would be a collaborative affair. Both the team and the manager would play an active role in defining the problems, evaluating options, and agreeing on the final solution. performance would still be monitored. But here again, the employee plays a part in monitoring their own performance and would then discuss with the manager the actions that would need to be taken. This style is appropriate when employees are more established and have ideas and then the confidence to speak up. It's also appropriate when the employees are committed to making a task happen. This approach fosters a sense of ownership and empowerment among employees, leading to higher morale, creativity and commitment. However, it may be less efficient in situations requiring quick action, or when there is a need for clear direction. Care needs to be taken here as well that it does not become management by consensus. You, as a manager, are still where the buck, or local schmivel is, stops. The final style is that of delegating. The approach taken here would be that the how-to-do part of the equation is left up to the employee, and both the responsibility and authority are given to employees to get the job done. The communication method is usually one way, from the employee back to the manager, but can also sometimes be two ways, where the manager may just want a regular update as to progress, but not the war and peace version. When looking at goal setting, this may be established by the manager, or it may evolve after a discussion and then agreement between the manager and the employee. The amount of performance monitoring will really depend on the task itself, the priority, if it has any other dependencies, and the person doing it. However, providing feedback is usually the responsibility of the employee. This style is appropriate when the individual or the team has the requisite knowledge, skills, competence, and motivation to get the job done, and really does not need a manager poking their nose into the task every 2 minutes like a 5-year-old child in the back of the car asking, "Are we there yet?" Well, now, what does all of this mean? Let's take a look at it in the next segment. If you now go back to the document you created from episode 1, where you have allocated each member a number of different attributes, you can add on to that the employee's preferred management style that you should use. We really are widening and deepening your understanding of the people you have under your charge. To take this another step further, remember the 4-box diagram we created for high and low competence and low and high motivation from part 1? This is where it all starts to fit together. For a person or team with low confidence and low motivation, you are more likely to use a direct style of management, telling them what to do and how to do it and when to do it by. For a high competence but low motivation individual or team, you are more likely to use a discussing style of management, giving them the freedom to engage with the task in their own way. For a high motivation but low competence individual or team, you would also use a discussing style, but frame it in such a way that they are doing the task to gain more competence in achieving the desired result. For a high competence and high motivation person or team, it would be more of a delegating style, letting them get on with the task as they see fit and then reporting back to you once the task is complete. Now you have an amazing team overview sheet where you can see their personal details and question "Do you have enough?", their motivation and competence and which box they fall into. Their personality type and Belbin model role is also in there, with a hand-drawn sociogram and finally the best management style to use with them. Wow, an invaluable tool that is multidimensional and a quick reference should you need it. Just imagine if you walked into a new store as a new manager and this sheet was handed to you. Job done, eh? Well, not quite. Now you have to put it all into practice. And I have a few day-to-day tools and tips to help you with that in the next 3 segments. We will start here with some simple tools. 3 simple tools. In fact, it's a 3 times 3 simple tools. You know me by now, it always has to be in 3s. So, what are those 3 things? Firstly, regular communication channels. Secondly, recognition and feedback. and thirdly, development and support programs. Let's jump into each one of these and see the set of 3 things within each one. The first one, as I said, is regular communication channels. Effective communication is vital for engaging with the teams. Managers need to utilize these 3 communication tools. Firstly, team meetings or briefings. Regular team meetings provide opportunities for updates, discussions, and collaboration. They allow managers to share important information, address concerns, and solicit feedback from team members. It also improves motivation and competence by clarifying objectives and priorities. It can provide a clear and consistent message to all employees, and it reduces the likelihood of potentially damaging rumours or misinformation. In the past, in the meetings I used to hold, I have used a very simple tool called the ABCD feedback. This is a simple one-page template that each department needed to fill in and present to the rest of the team. It's okay, I can already hear you asking, what does the ABCD acronym stand for? Here we go then. A is for achievements, B is for benefits, C is for concerns, and D is for do next. There will be a short podcast video about this particular tool and how to use it placed on the YouTube channel soon. But it is an excellent tool for all departments to present their ABCDs to the whole team and get everyone quickly up to speed. The second element in regular communication channels is one-on-one check-ins. Individual meetings between managers and team members offer a chance for personalised feedback, coaching, and support. They allow managers to understand each employee's needs, goals, and challenges. This is also an excellent time to make sure that your staff planning and rota management is up to date with each employee's preferences, where possible, and to give some OTJ, on-the-job feedback. Remember, just because it's one-to-one, it does not have to be in your office as a manager. In fact, I find the best place to have a one-to-one with the individual team members is to visit them at their station so that you can see what they have been doing, the challenges they are facing, and identify areas to improve. The third element in communication is via digital platforms. Email, messaging apps, and collaboration tools facilitate quick and efficient communication, enabling managers to stay connected with remote or dispersed teams. WhatsApp was a particular favourite as a messaging tool in a previous business I worked in. In the business that I managed in Dubai, we had started to use an app called Axonify, although it was rebranded to Urbanites Engage. This allowed managers to speak one-to-all, one-to-many, and one-to-one, as well as a lot of other fun stuff inside the app. I will have an episode with the team from Axonify on the Retail Voices series. Look out for that one as it's coming up really soon now. So, that's the regular communication channels. Let's move on to the next one now. The second tool in our arsenal is recognition and feedback mechanisms. Let's jump into the 3 elements under this tool. The first one is about praise and recognition. It's actually quite sad that managers and leaders do not spend more time doing this. I know I have failed to do it a lot of times when I have been with my teams, but it is something we must do more of. Note to mark, praise and recognise my team's efforts more. Managers must actively recognise and appreciate employees' contributions and achievements. This can be done publicly during team meetings or through personalised messages. Again, I find the best place to do this is at the employee's area of work, and especially if you can do this in front of their peers, subordinates, and their boss. It really does improve motivation and competence by showing your employees that you have an interest in them and the work that they are doing. The second element in recognition and feedback is to provide your employees with constructive feedback. Providing regular feedback helps employees understand their performance, areas for improvement, and how their work contributes to organisational goals. Managers should offer constructive feedback in a supportive manner, focusing on specific behaviours and outcomes. A reminder here that whilst praise is to be given publicly, Feedback that may be perceived as negative, such as a reprimand, must be given in private. The aim here is not to embarrass your employee. The aim should be to improve their confidence and competence. You have to dig deep to ensure you understand why the failure happened and help the employee come up with an agreed solution for the problems that they are having. The third element is via employee surveys. These are usually handled by the HR team from the head office, but are a useful indicator of what is currently happening within the organisation. Periodic surveys or feedback mechanisms allow employees to anonymously share their thoughts, concerns, and suggestions. This helps managers gauge employee satisfaction, identify areas for improvement, and make data-driven decisions. There are, of course, many different companies out there that are able to manage these surveys for you. If you need some advice on which one to choose, you can contact me on the website retail101online.com. Let's move on now to the third tool. The third tool of employee development and support programs also breaks down into 3 elements. No surprise there then, eh? The first element here is training and development opportunities. Note the key word here is opportunities. Managers can support employees' professional growth by providing access to training programs, workshops, and skill-building resources. This demonstrates investment in employees' development and helps them progress in their careers. Whilst you are sometimes not able to send people directly to skills-based training, there are things you can do as a manager to build an employee's competence and confidence. By using the delegation technique, you are able to hand out small or large assignments to the employees and see how they perform. Of course, you would have to define the task well and ensure there is some empowerment to get the job done. However, it's a good way to build some trust with the employee. You could even have them stepping up, covering for another employee who is maybe on vacation. The second element in employee development is coaching and mentorship. By pairing employees with mentors or offering coaching sessions, this then helps them navigate challenges, set goals, and develop new skills. Managers can also serve as mentors, providing guidance and support to their team members. There is, of course, a dual opportunity here, allowing an employee to have an opportunity to develop their management skills by coaching their potential replacement. Now, you are killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The third element is to look at some work-life balance initiatives. Now, you already know what I think about the work-life statement. However, as a manager, by supporting employees' well-being and life balance, this fosters more engagement and productivity. Managers can encourage flexible work arrangements, promote wellness programs, and ensure workload distribution is fair and equitable. This comes down to good staff planning. By ensuring, as best as possible, that you accommodate the employee's needs without sacrificing the business needs, you will be improving motivation and competence. By leveraging these 3x3 day-to-day tools, managers can effectively engage with their teams, foster a positive work environment, and drive organisational success. Now, all you need to know is, what is the leader's role in managing their people? Well, luckily, that's up next. See you in a moment, or faster than an Aldi checkout operator. Oh, and before we go, as I mentioned Aldi, in the days before barcodes were used at Aldi, no, not before any barcodes were used, I'm not that old, each employee was expected to memorise the prices of products and operated the checkouts like a mad accountant attacking an errant calculator. Each month we all had to take a speed and accuracy test, and this was shared around the region. For one brief month, I was the fastest checkout operator with 100% accuracy. Not sure I could do it now, but I can still use the numbers part of a keyboard and pretty much not have to look at it while entering numbers. Okay, digression over. Let's move to the next segment. There's some pretty important stuff there. The role of a manager towards their employees is multifaceted, and of course, crucial for the success of both the team and the organization as a whole. Here are some of the key aspects of a manager's role. Well, sorry guys, but there are more than 3 here as well. I know, I'm breaking my own rule, but this is really important stuff to get right. First, number 1, leadership. Managers, and I use that term loosely to mean someone who is responsible for someone else, they are responsible for providing leadership to their team. Leadership involves setting a clear direction, establishing goals, and providing an environment where employees' natural self-motivation levels are high. A good manager leads by example and inspires their team members to perform at their best. Number 2, communication. Effective communication is essential for a manager to convey expectations, provide feedback, and ensure that everyone is on the same page. Managers must be accessible to their employees and encourage open communication within the team. A manager that only sits behind their desk and never visits the employees where their work is being done is exactly that, just a manager. Leaders are out there with their teams, seeing what is happening, where it is happening. Third, support and development. Managers must support their employees by providing the resources, tools, and guidance they need to succeed. This includes training and development opportunities to help employees grow both personally and professionally. Remember, even if you cannot get your team members onto company-sponsored programs, there are still things you can do, as previously discussed. Number 4, performance management. Yes, managers are responsible for evaluating employee performance, providing regular feedback, and addressing any issues or concerns that may arise. This involves recognizing and rewarding achievements, as well as addressing areas where improvement is needed. Don't forget though, praise in public, reprimand in private. Number 5, team building. Managers play a key role in building a cohesive and high-performing team. This involves fostering a positive work environment, promoting collaboration, and resolving conflicts that may arise among team members. Now that you have the other tools we have exposed over the 2 episodes, you should now know how to put your teams together to minimize any risk. Number 6, decision making. Managers are often responsible for making important decisions that impact their team and the organization. This requires good judgment, critical thinking, and consideration of the needs and perspectives of employees without sacrificing the organization's objectives. You will sometimes have to take those hard decisions, those decisions that involve people. These should never be shied away from. Once the team sees you shirking your responsibilities for making important, critical decisions, they will start to lose respect for you as a leader. Number 7, advocacy. A manager should serve as an advocate for their team, representing their interests and concerns to higher management. This involves advocating for resources, recognition, and opportunities for growth and development. The best leaders I have seen are the ones who create more leaders. From the 2020 article by the Wharton Institute of Executive Education, it stated that the ability to develop the leadership potential of those on your team used to be a nice-to-have skill in your arsenal. Today, it's an absolute necessity. And finally, number 8, role modeling. Managers need to embody the values and behaviors that they expect from their employees. By serving as a role model, managers can set the tone for the team and cultivate a positive organizational culture. Another recommendation for a book to read is Servant Leadership by Robert Greenleaf. It was first published back in 1977, but it is so relevant for today. In it, he says, is the answer to the failure of modern institutions and organizations to meet the needs of those they serve and employ. He argues that institutions and the individuals within them should adopt the philosophy of servant leadership, prioritizing their followers' needs, thus enabling those followers to achieve their goals and empowering them to be of service to others in turn. According to Greenleaf, servant leaders have the potential to improve society dramatically in every facet of life, in business, religion, philanthropy, education, and so on. Overall, the manager's role towards their employees is one of leadership, support, and facilitation, aimed at enabling individuals to reach their full potential and contribute effectively to the success of the team and the organisation. The way I have always seen my role as a leader has also, strangely, been in a set of three. My job as a leader has always been to facilitate happiness for my employees, customers, and stakeholders. It's important to see the order that those three are mentioned in. If employees are happy first, then you'll definitely get happy customers, as service will be prioritised. If customers are happy, they spend more money with you, which means you will then have happy stakeholders. The first one begets the others. If you try and do it in any other permutation, well, it just doesn't work. And so we come to the end of part 2 about employees. I really hope you have enjoyed this in-depth look at how to ensure YPAs, your people are your success. There are many other elements I can talk about in regards to employees, and we'll get even deeper into the subject in later episodes as we explore topics from employee retention to employee engagement, as well as many, many more in between. The three things we have looked at in this episode are, firstly, management styles. We delved into the three areas of directing, discussing, and delegating to understand the management style and when it was appropriate to use it. Noting that at one end of the scale, managers made all of the decisions, and at the other end, it was more swayed towards the employee. We also linked together the management style required with each of the employees' confidence and competence levels. Secondly, we then went through a number of day-to-day tools that you can use with your own teams, broken down into a 3x3 set, which included regular communication channels, recognition and feedback, and the development and support programs required. And finally, the leader's role in managing their employees, where I broke my rule of 3 to give you the 8 aspects that you need to master as a leader. Don't forget now to put all of these new tools we have shown you, especially creating your multi-dimensional view of your people, into practice, and then start using the day-to-day tools and the aspects for you to master to become a servant leader that creates new leaders. A final analogy for you. The sun is what brings the best out in people. The wind, rain, and storms generally close people up. Be a shining example for your people, and they will continue to follow you and outperform even your wildest expectations. I know that the teams I have led in the past have always outperformed my expectations, and I take an opportunity now to thank them again for that. A huge thanks for tuning in, my Retail 101ers. Got a burning question or comments? You know where to find me, LinkedIn, X, or drop me a message on our website, retail101online.com. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell wherever you get your podcast fix so you never miss out on the excitement of our next episode drop. Cheers to the retail revolution. And that's it, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode, maybe in a couple of weeks' time. Cheers.